founded to empower young professionals with practical, real-world knowledge in entrepreneurship, career management, and personal growth. With over 470,000 learners enrolled, WebVeda reflects his enduring belief that education must be accessible, actionable, and deeply relevant. And this is clearly summarized in his philosophy: I help make people make better choices. As a content creator, Mr. Variku has built one of the most engaged digital communities in the country, reaching more than 16 million followers across YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where he uses thoughtful storytelling and lived experience to demystify success, discipline, money, and mindset. He is also a mentor and investor, generously supporting early-stage founders and guiding aspiring entrepreneurs through insight earned over years of leadership. Mr. Variku is a 5-time best-selling author with landmark titles including Do Epic Shit, Get Epic Shit Done, Make Epic Money, Build an Epic Career, and Beyond the Syllabus. Collectively, these works have sold over 1 million copies, reached readers in 63 countries, and has been translated into 16 languages, a testament to their universal relevance and practical wisdom, sir. Mr. Variku's leadership journey includes founding Nearby.com, where he served as Chief Executive Officer, as well as earlier roles as founding CEO of Groupon India and Head of Groupon APAC. His entrepreneurial foundations were further strengthened through the co-founding of Accenture Web, the launch of Rocket Internet's India business, and as part of the founding team of Jabong.com. Before stepping into entrepreneurship, he honed his strategic acumen as a management consultant with Kearney, working across Delhi, Dubai, and New York. Mr. Variku holds an MBA from the Indian School of Business, where he received the Young Leader Award, an MS in Physics from Michigan State University, and a Bachelor of Science in Physics from Hindu College, Delhi University. His contributions have been widely recognized, earning him distinctions such as Fortune India's 40 Under 40, Forbes Top 100 Digital Creators, LinkedIn India's Top Voices, LinkedIn India's Spotlight List, and Business Today's Top Executives Under 40. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to the insightful, influential, and deeply impactful Mr. Ankur Variku. I request Mr. Arora to kindly present a token of our appreciation to sir. The stage is all yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the really warm, to me personally, a little embarrassing introduction. I was like, आप किसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं? ये कौन है? And I always feel awkward when people are trying to introduce me to me because it's just such a different world. Thank you so much everyone for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this campus. It's my first time. Incredible facility and infrastructure built. I'm sure that these students enjoy every second and every moment of experiencing this space. We grew up in a very different India, as all of you may imagine. Spaces like these were completely unheard of. They were mostly outside of the country, and there was a aspiration कि किसी दिन जाएंगे and शायद अगर ज़िंदगी में कुछ कर पाए तो we will find ourselves in such spaces. And sorry? Oh, Hindu College? Yeah, I'll come to that. We'll high-five on a lot of things together. How many, well, now that you've raised it, how many of you are from Hindu? If there's anyone, just one?
Yes.
Okay, wow, that's like, don't be so proud of it. I'll crack some jokes on it. We will show the reality of Hindu to people here, at least in this room. I should congratulate the management as well. It's very inviting that the leaders are brought in together because the world is changing so rapidly and how so many things are happening that you would want to come together and just experience how you should think as a leader, as an operator, as an educator, because you bear the responsibility of what the country will become in the next 10, 20, 30 years. And it's not an easy one to certainly bear. I certainly feel the pressure at my end as well. Here's what I wanted to do today. I want to talk to you about my journey as somebody who's lived 45 years and experienced life in a very different fashion from what I thought I would be. And through that, leave you with something that has truly helped me change the way that I look at my life and how I deal with the world itself. The change came about nearly 20 years back, but I'm so glad that I experienced this change. I did not go chasing it. It just happened my way, but it completely changed my life. And that's where I want to leave you with. Not because you are responsible for others, but most importantly, you are responsible for your own self. And irrespective of the age you are at, we are in the last month of 2025. It's a perfect opportunity to have a year-end conversation and then leave you with a 2026 goal for yourself and thus for everyone that you're responsible for. Is there anyone in this hall who does not understand Hindi? Anybody at all? One. Okay. Everybody else does? Okay. I may use a little bit of Hindi. No, and if there is anything, sir, you understand Hindi very well, like grade of 10, how much would you score yourself? Like 10 on 10? Okay, so he's your guy, and at any stage, if I say something that doesn't land well, you have to be like, what did he say? Okay, so I grew up in Delhi. I'm not from Delhi, I'm from Kashmir, but never stayed there. Mom and dad moved to Delhi when I was 3 years old. And we come from a very, very humble background. Through 1980, which is when I was born, middle class upbringing in this country. We're a family of 4. I have a younger sister. She's a professor in Goenka University today. And it was what I call the classic middle class trap growing up in 1980s, 1990s India. The trap was, there was only one message that my parents gave me, which today feels like a trap, but the message was, there's only one way to win at life, and that is study hard. That is it. There's nothing else. Baki sab bakwas hai. Look at the guy who went to Bombay to become a Bollywood star, languishing. Look at the one who wanted to become a journalist, languishing. But all doctors, engineers, lawyers, CA, teachers, rock solid, stable, go for that. So that was the message. Study hard in school, get through a good college, study hard in college, get a good job, work your way through a job, and live your life with a gratuity, a HMT watch, and a pension. That's your goal. So I was like, okay, that's exactly what I want to do. And growing up, we never had money, so I almost hated money. I shouldn't say almost. I hated money. I really hated money because I felt that paisa was the absolute fasad ki jad and the reason for our family's unhappiness. So the day that I become in charge of my life, I will be so disrespectful towards money because I never want it to have any power over me. I will have power over money. I did realize that that was a bad call to make for the longest time. I'll tell you how it works otherwise. So, I remember 7th or 8th standard, on my birthday, my Masi, she gifted me this very big, nice book. It was called the Big Book of Space. Because the author clearly was not creative. Right? Big book है, space के ऊपर है, इसका नाम रखेंगे हम Big Book of Space. And I read the book and I remember falling in love with space. Falling in love with the solar system, falling in love with astronomy, falling in love with the stars, falling in love with aliens. And at that point of time, I went to Ma Papa and I said, Ma Papa, I have a plan that will get us out of this middle classness. It has 3 steps and I guarantee you, this plan is going to work. Are you ready to hear the plan? And they were like, of course, they didn't have a choice. They were like, like step number 1. I want to become a scientist. I want to do a PhD and I want to do it from the US. That's my first goal. And माँ पापा की आंखों में धीरे-धीरे आंसू आने शुरू हो गए. Because they're like, wow, this is such an honorable thing. PhD, Dr. Ankur Wariko, क्योंकि डॉक्टर तो वैसे भी बनना था नहीं, तो this is the closest you will come to being a doctor. And doing it from the US, wow, great goal. We wonder what goal number 2 is. I was like, well, goal number 2, Ma Papa, is I want to specialize in the space sciences and I want to become a space scientist. And as a space scientist, there's only one place I want to work at, NASA. That's my dream company, that's my dream job. Ma Papa are like, we love you. This is incredible. कि बेटा space scientist USA वो भी NASA join करने वाला है. We can't wait to hear what goal number 3 can be. I was like, goal number 3, Ma Papa, is, and मुझसे लिख के ले लीजिए ये होने वाला है. I will become the first man to set foot on Mars. This is before Elon Musk had come into the picture. This is before Mars was a tourist destination as it is today. Back then, 1980s, Mars was like the holy grail of space research. So, किसी को भी अगर कुछ भी करना था space sciences में, Mars जाना था. And I was completely convinced कि नील आर्मस्ट्रॉन्ग के बाद दूसरा नाम जो इस दुनिया में पुकारा जाएगा वो अंकुर वारिको का होगा. पहला इंसान जिसने मार्स पे कदम रखा. This, माँ पापा were like, थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो गया. But ठीक है, they were like, अगर पहले 2 गोल भी हो गए, we are so happy for you. Our life, of course, will be sorted. We'll change our orbit as a family. Let's go. So I took up science in class 11th and 12th, and then I joined Delhi University, Hindu College, as part of its Bachelor's of Physics program. And I thought that I'm going to Delhi University, I'm going to Hindu College, it's the best university, one of the best colleges, I will learn so much. I did not get anything out of college. Nothing at all. How many of you went to Delhi University? Yeah, so you would know, nothing happens at Delhi University. Nothing. Like academically, I did not get anything out of college. In fact, the only thing I got out of college was my wife. So I lucked out and I'm so glad because she was way out of my league and I was like, thank God, degree to mili, lekin wo befazul degree hai. But zindagi mein ek partner mil gaya and that is the best thing that I could get out of college. I'm a very disciplined person, so while at the age of 19, 20, I have this new love in my life and it's wonderful and all of you may remember how it was, you know, pehla pyar and pehla crush and so on. But super disciplined, I knew exactly what I had to do, go to US, fulfill my dreams. So I started applying for the US universities that I wanted to apply to, and through those applications I got through Michigan State University for its PhD program in astrophysics, which is exactly what I wanted, on a 100% scholarship, which was frankly the only way we could afford it. And as you were clapping, appreciating me, my parents were like, thank God, out of relief. Because we just didn't have, like, इतनी औकात, इतनी हैसियत ही नहीं थी कि किसी को बाहर भेजेंगे, वो भी खुद के खर्चे पे. I remember my dad took a business loan for 55,000 rupees to pay for the one-way ticket from Delhi to East Lansing, where the campus is, because that's the only way we could have made that happen. And then I reached the US, and my goal number 1 is now coming alive, and it's real. And within 2 to 3 weeks, I realized something absolutely crazy, which is कि हमारे देश में उस समय पे तो definitely शायद आज भी हम अपने बच्चों को कुछ ऐसा पढ़ाते हैं जो दुनिया में किसी भी और बच्चे को नहीं सिखाया जाता है. We teach something in the Indian education system that I figured nobody else in the world is taught. And that is, exam से कितने दिन पहले पढ़ना शुरू करना है. How many days before the exam do you actually have to start studying? Because everything, at least back then, was about cracking exams. So our teachers were like, here is the last 10-year question papers, here are the answers, why don't you just memorize them? Then you come to the 2 to 3 hour examination, you vomit everything that you know, and then you step out of the hall, and you start discussing the answers with your friends, and within 5 minutes, before any evaluator has touched your answer sheet, you know exactly how much you're going to score, and where your rank will be in class, and whether that will make Ma Papa happy or not. And I knew this art. I was studying with Germans and Koreans and Americans and the smartest people on this planet, and everybody was focused on something called learning. And I was like, तुम्हारा दिमाग खराब हो चुका है. You have to focus on marks because that's the thing that works. NASA is going to look at the resume and be like, ये है topper batch का, we will hire him. That's exactly how I thought that the world works. So I was not going to let 18 years of my training go to waste. I was deploying my memorization tactics to the hilt. And lo and behold, I was crushing it. Top of my class, my professors loved me, my students hate me. It was absolutely magical how easy I felt it was to gain that system that I was a part of. And I would imagine, you would perhaps also, that this was the dream life. I'm doing what I wanted to do, great university, 100% scholarship. I'm getting paid $1,500 a month. उस समय पे $50 था. It's a very important moment for us to remember. And that was more money than my dad was earning after having worked for 40 years of his life. And here I am, top of my class, everything as per my design. So this is the life that I would be thoroughly enjoying. But I wasn't. I figured that I was completely numb through the process. I would get up in the morning, go to class, attend the class with all diligence, take the exam, top the exam, come back home, दूध फाड़ के पनीर बनाता था, खाना खाता था, सो जाता था, फिर सुबह उठता था, वही same routine. Everything was like a complete dead person, zero emotions attached. And I was struggling to make sense of it because this is what I wanted to do. This is exactly what I wanted from my life. So I began to have these very tough conversations with myself. What is wrong? यही तो तुमने करना था. This is what you wanted to do. And I realized from these conversations that physics, which is what I was doing, was something that I was really good at. I was really, really good at physics, but it didn't make me happy. I was doing something in life that I was really good at, but it didn't make me happy. And for the first time in my life, it struck me that what you're good at and what makes you happy could be two very different things. And that was a shocking revelation क्योंकि माँ पापा ने मुझे यही सिखाया था कि जिस चीज़ को करने में तुम अच्छे हो, उस चीज़ को करने में तुम automatically खुश हो जाते हो. You don't have to work towards making yourself happy, and that certainly wasn't the case with me. So now I had a choice to make in life. Either I keep doing what I am supposed to do, and because I'm good at this, I will actually get everything that the society calls or brands success. वो बंगला, गाड़ी, शान, शौकत, तो हर एक चीज़ मिलेगी because I'm good at this. So I can crack the system like I did for my exams, but it's possible I will not be happy. Or option number 2, go and figure out what will make you happy. And I didn't know what that answer was, but I knew that this wasn't what I wanted to do. So at the age of 24, much to the shock and dismay of my parents, I decided to drop out of my PhD program and come back to India. And you can imagine how that conversation went with my parents. They were like, तुम्हारा दिमाग खराब हो चुका है क्योंकि तुमने 8 साल से हमारा दिमाग खराब कर दिया. You want to go to US, NASA, PhD, blah blah blah, and now you're giving us this random theory. I'm good with this, I'm not happy, whatever that means. So they didn't understand, and they began to have these very cute negotiations that all of you, I'm sure, have with your kids as well today. And a part of the arrangement of that negotiation was one fine day they come to me and they're like, it seems you want to come back to India. You're an adult. Sure, you can do that. Thank God हमारा पैसा नहीं लगा हुआ, so there's nothing that we lose financially. But you don't have to drop out of your PhD to come back to India. Why don't you finish your PhD and then come back? And when I heard that, I was like, I had heard this before. And then I remembered in class 10th, my parents told me, इस साल पढ़ लो, फिर तुम्हें जिंदगी में नहीं पढ़ना पड़ेगा. And then in class 12th they told me इस साल अच्छे कॉलेज घुस जाओ और फिर तुम्हारी पूरी जिंदगी सॉर्ट आउट हो जाएगी. And they're telling me the same thing again. Why don't you finish your PhD? We have no reason why we're saying that, but we believe something miraculous will happen to your life that will take care of your life. And I was like, I don't want to agree with that. So at the age of 24, dropping everything, I come back. And today when I share this, especially with kids and the younger generation, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas of the world, they're like, oh my God, that is so amazing! You dropped out of school! Because everybody we know who's successful has dropped out of school, so you must be really cool too. But back then, and most of you will relate to that, in 2004, nobody was dropping out of school. It was only the stupid people who most likely failed their exams, who couldn't finish it, were like, oh, we're dropping out. But everyone in their right senses was staying put in education. And job is a very ajeeb si umra hai. Because life is moving very fast around you. Your school batchmates have just graduated, they've started earning, and I came back to India, I see the same thing. My batchmates from school, college, they've gotten good jobs, they're earning now. So they're buying phones, they're buying cars, they're buying clothes, some of them are excited, they're getting married, some of them are even more excited, they're having kids. And I'm like, we're 24. Why are you moving so fast in your life? Because I haven't finished even my education. And I felt like a complete loser. And I had no plan what to do. Nothing. And all of my friends were like, you are confused, Ankur. Absolutely confused. So why don't you do what every confused person does? An MBA. Are there any MBAs in the house? Yeah, you will know. People say or claim that they go for an MBA because they know what they want to do from their life. But the truth is, they have no idea what to do with their life. And they hope the 1 to 2 year degree will make that happen for them. I saw that in my friends. I'm like, they are going to these random MBA colleges. I don't even know their names. Of course, some of them have gone to really good ones as well. But 1-2 saal ki mehnat, shiddat, jaddojahed, I wasn't sure whether that was the right thing for me or not. And as luck would have it, I come across this rather young school. It's only 5 years old, so it's not like it has a prestige or pedigree behind it. It's an insanely expensive program with no scholarships whatsoever. So if I did get through the program, वारिको खानदान को अपनी जिंदगी का सबसे बड़ा लोन लेना पड़ेगा. But it was a 1-year MBA, which was the first time a concept like this was introduced in this country. And if I did make it, the best thing about the program was my batchmates would be people who had real work experience. They had worked in this world and they knew how the world works. Because I did not know how the world works. I had no idea. I was a super geek physics guy, zero understanding of HR, sales, marketing, IT strategy, etc. So I applied to the Indian School of Business, and God bless the person who saw my application and thought that I was worth it. Because the 1 year at ISB just completely changed my life. It changed everything about my life. And I think the reason is, while I went to ISB looking for a job and a career and a company and a salary and all of those things, I went to ISB looking for myself. Who am I? What am I good at? What am I not good at? What are the things I should or should not be doing in life? And those are the answers I wanted from that 1 year, and I did get those answers, which is what changed my life. I also figured out while at ISB that there's this really cool profession called consulting. It pays you a lot of money. You work with very smart people. You consult or advise businesses on how they should be running their business. I thought, great, this is the best way for me to learn something new. So I started preparing for consulting jobs, and I got through a really good consulting firm. And the next thing I know, as a 26-year-old, I am sitting in the boardrooms of really large companies in front of people whose faces I've seen on the covers of newspapers and magazines, telling them on how they should be running their business based on the Excel sheet that I have made, based on my understanding of their business, of which I had no idea until 2 weeks back. And I was like, how does this make sense? I'm 26 years of age, you've worked in this company for longer than I've lived on this planet. This relationship is not equal. But they weren't complaining, and they weren't complaining, I wasn't complaining one bit, because every single day in consulting I was getting to learn so much about the world. And very quickly, a year and a half passes by, and I'm meeting a friend of mine from ISB, same batch, and he's like, yeah, I've started this new website, and I wanted to talk to you about it. I said, sure, what's it called? He said it's called secondshadi.com. Shadi is the Hindi word for marriage. So secondmarriage.com. And I was like, is it what I think it is? He's like, yeah man, it's a matrimonial website for remarriages. There's so many people who get married in this country, so there are bound to be people who get divorced and widowed, and this is a platform for them to get married again. And I'm like, that is such an incredible idea. How did you think about this? He's like, no, my dad thought about this. And as much as you were laughing at that, I was also laughing, but in my head I was like, oh shit, uncle and auntie's marriage. on the rocks, and I don't know, he's a friend, how do I tell him? Because he clearly doesn't know. He thinks his dad's a genius, but he may be just doing this for survival. So I was like, is there a way that I can help? I love this idea. He's like, yeah man, that's why I shared it with you. I'm an engineer, I'm a coder, I will build this thing out, but I think you and I can make a great team. You want to do this together? And I told him, yeah, Vivek, great idea, thank you so much for thinking of me. But you know what, I'll be honest, I love my time in consulting right now. I'm getting to learn so much every day. I'm getting to meet with such smart people. I'm making money for the first time in my life. I don't think it will be wise of me to give all of that and join you. But I also don't want to say no to this because I don't know if this opportunity will ever come back again or not. So if you're okay, and I really hope you're okay, whatever time is left out of consulting during my day job, I would love to just help you and see where it goes. And he's like, yeah, koi baat nahi. No strings attached, just make that happen. Whatever time you have, let's start spending together and see where it goes. So for the next 1.5 years, I had a day job as a consultant, and during night time I was Batman trying to get people married again, and it actually worked. We launched Second Shadi, it got to a reasonable size and scale, a grand reception, and within 1.5 years, I knew that it had reached a scale where it now required my full-time attention, and I at that point of time decided to quit my consulting job, take a 80% pay cut down to the bare minimum amount I needed to survive, and joined secondshadi.com. And you can imagine how that conversation went with my parents. They were like, तुम्हारा सच में दिमाग खराब हो चुका है। हर 4-5 साल खुद को छोड़ो, हमें क्यों इतना दुख देते हो? तुम्हारी खुद की पहली शादी नहीं हुई है, तुम्हें कोई आइडिया नहीं है कि शादी क्या होती है, तुम अपनी ये नौकरी, शान, शौकत, रुतबा सब कुछ छोड़ के लोगों की दूसरी शादियां करवाने जा रहे हो. How does this make sense? And I was like, Ma, Papa, I think it makes sense because I'm really good with my consulting work, and I think that people also like my work. So if for whatever reason this doesn't work out, I can go back to consulting. But I don't know if this new thing is ever going to come back or not. So in 2009, when it was not cool to start up in this country, I started up. And I'm so glad that I did, because for the last 16 years, I've seen how this country has changed when it comes to starting up and the startup culture. People now know how to pronounce the word entrepreneur. It is so cool. People know how to spell the word now. It's no longer running a business, but I'm an entrepreneur. Oh, no shit. So it's just so fancy. But back then in 2009, it wasn't. And most of you would not perhaps be making that move if you had that choice as well. I'm just so glad that I got to. And for the last 16 years, all that I've done is just build businesses because I love solving problems. I love building teams. I love building products that delve into consumer psychology, because I do believe that every business at some point of time is just your understanding of how human mind works. And if you get that right, you will win. If you don't, you will struggle. And that's what I've done. But there's something that's interesting which happened to me in 2020. Which happened to all of us in 2020. And that was March 2020. Because when March 2020 happened, I was on a break. I had just stepped down from the role of a CEO in my previous startup. And I decided to take a 3 to 4 month break. I was turning 40 in 2020, so I thought, oh, good time to bring that decade to a close, think of what the next decade will be like, so on. And in that break, March 2020 happened, and every plan, every idea, every goal went out of the window. Because we were locked up, we didn't know how long it would be, we weren't sure of how things had changed, everything just went online, connections became fragile or perhaps became stronger, and the world was just chaotic, certainly mine as well. And at that point of time, I actually felt like the 24-year-old uncle who had no idea what to do with their life. Because I genuinely didn't know what to do. The only thing that was different, and markedly different, was I was now a 40-year-old. And I had responsibilities, and I had the pressure of, oh, this is a guy who's figured his shit out because he's a startup founder and blah, blah, blah. But in my head, I was just as confused as I was when I was 24. Absolutely uncertain of where my life will go. So today, when you look at me, and when man took nearly 7.5 minutes or hours, it seemed, to introduce me and talk about everything that I've done, it's very easy for some of you, if not all of you, to believe that all of this has happened in the last 5 years. That this guy blew up, started creating some content, wrote some books, did some, here and there, Najgara, and 16 million followers, 5 best-selling books, and blah, blah, blah. But all of you also know, from your own life experience, nothing good happens overnight. It just doesn't. If it's luck, then as soon as things happen, as rapidly they will diminish or vanish as well. If anything stays, there has to be a reason that was much before when you started noticing it. And I struggle with the same thing. How am I here? Why are the operators, principals, educators of the finest schools that this country has listening to even 5 minutes of what I have to say? Forget an hour. Why would you all give me this love? Why do I even deserve to be here on this stage? And the answer is not because I am some YouTuber, Instagrammer, author or anything like that. It's something that happened a lot before which I had to reconcile with. And that is where I came up with what actually altered my life that I wasn't so consciously aware of. And that's what I want to leave you with. And when I came back from the US at the age of 24 back to India, I heard just one piece of advice from everyone. And that advice was, to win at life, you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan, Ankur. If you don't have a plan for your life, you will never win at life. And I was like, you know what? I agree with you. I actually agree with you that one should have a plan. The only problem is, I had a plan. I had a kick-ass plan. I had the best plan that I could have made for myself. I was doing well on that plan. It was a plan that would have changed my life. It was a plan that I knew I could achieve. It was a plan that I knew was within my reach. And yet, I crushed that plan with my own hands. I killed my own dream. So, मैं किस बुनियाद पे एक और plan बनाऊं? On what basis do I come up with another plan? I don't even know myself. I don't even know what other plan I could have for my life. So I was forced to ask a very different question, and I'm so glad I was forced to ask that question. The question was, is it possible to live life without a plan? Is it possible at all to live life without a goal, without a target? And I'm here to convince you today, it is. And I'm a living example of that planless plan. Because for the last 20 years, I have not had a goal or a target for my life. I did not. If you ask me the favorite HR question of all times, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? I don't have an answer. I really don't know. Forget 5 years. I don't know where I will be a year later. I will just be glad if I wake up tomorrow and just get to live that day. I was completely fluid because I was directionless. But what happened thus was something changed here. The way that I operated, the way that I looked at things, the way that I believe everyone should. Because what it does is, it makes you behave and operate like an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is not a profession. Don't mistake it to be something that you have to start a business for, that you have to own something. No, entrepreneurship is actually a state of mind. And all of you can be entrepreneurs while being in a job. And I know so many people who are running businesses, but they are the shittiest entrepreneurs that the world will ever have. Because what they have is just the employee mindset. And the employee mindset is the complete antithesis of what the entrepreneurial mindset is. And I realized that the thing that worked for me is, long before I actually became an entrepreneur on paper, I started to think like one because I had no choice. And here is how an entrepreneur thinks. Something that all of you can adopt from day one, starting tomorrow. Number one, I don't know how many of you are meeting each other for the first time. It's possible that you connect. How many of you are actually meeting each other for the first time? Some of you? Yeah, a lot of you actually. Wonderful. Great job putting them all together. Now go back to maybe the first day you joined a GD Goenka institution, or maybe today when you all met each other for the first time. And you're in this room, everybody is different from each other. While you're working for the same organization, in principle the same industry, but look at how different each one of you are. You look differently, you speak differently, you have different experiences, you've studied differently, you were raised with different values, you have a very different upbringing, a very different worldview to the same things, very different beliefs, very different hobbies, very different interests. And when you're surrounded by people who are so different from each other, your first instinct is to look for people who are like you. That's the innate human basic instinct. मुझे उन लोगों के साथ hang out करना है जो मेरे जैसे. And the familiarity or the connection that you're looking for could be very strong or could be superficial. But you're always looking for one. People who look like you, people who are from the same city as you, from the same school as you, from the same college as you, have the same last name as you, stay in the same colony as you, went to the same tuition center as you. It's just ridiculous what bond we look for to just conclude this is enough. And I saw that. I remember going to ISB, first week, people had formed these groups. Engineers के साथ हैं, chemical के साथ, mechanical, IIT, NIT, CA first attempts, very important for them. Doctors, gynaes with gynaes, lawyers with lawyers, musicians with musicians, Delhi with Delhi, Sarojini Nagar with Sarojini Nagar, Bombay with Bombay, South Bombay with South Bombay. It was ridiculous. Everybody had formed these groups. And मेरे दिमाग में चल रहा था कि किसी ने मेहनत करके 330 really smart kids from across the world on a single campus for the next 1 year. And you're going to spend time with the 5 people who are like you? How stupid are you? But that's exactly what we do every day. That's exactly what we do. It's quite possible you're sitting next to somebody that you know and have some connection with, just because you feel familiar, comfortable. It's the same thing that happens to us when we open up social media every day. You open up Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever else. You are seeing content that you already believe in. It is showing you exactly the thing that it knows you agree with. And it's shouting at the top of its voice like I am right now. It's true. Whatever you believe in, it's true. Whatever they believe in, it's not true. Here's another video. Everything is customized to your belief. So it tricks you into believing, oh my God, my point of view is the right point of view. It's actually the only point of view. And that's a trap. Because your point of view is, of course, not the only point of view. And as an educator, as somebody who's responsible for shaping the minds of people who will define the future of this country, your first and foremost job is to actually spend time with people who are nothing like you. Nothing like you. Go out of your comfort zone and actually spend time with people who are so different from you that you refuse to believe they have anything to offer. To the extent that I'm sure when you step into a room like this, you're scanning the entire room, you're scanning all the faces. 2-3 तो ऐसे लोग होंगे you will look at and you will be like, nah, not my kinds. ये यहाँ कैसे है? You are in your head so judgmental that you refuse to believe there's anything that you can learn from them. But they are the ones who know of the world differently from how you know. And they are the ones who will teach you something that you don't. So number 1, spend time with people who are nothing like you. Because that's the only way you get to know what the world has to offer. Otherwise you're just living in your head, wo ek classic matter. Number 2, this is a trap that you blame most likely your students for. But it's the same trap you are a victim to as well. It's the biggest curse and virus spreading across the world right now. It used to be very dominant in the West. It's now coming to India as well. It's not, of course, Corona. It is a virus that I call entitlement. And this virus is deadly. Because here's what the virus will convince you of. This virus will convince you when you stand in front of the mirror every day that you deserve this. That you deserve to be sitting here. that you deserve to have what you get in life. You deserve what this institution does for you. You deserve what the company does for you. You deserve everything, and you're not getting enough of it. Because the truth is, none of us, including me and the management, deserves to be where we are. We're just lucky. We were dropped into a family, not by our choice, that took care of us, that gave us food, shelter, upbringing, love, education, values, because of which we sit on opportunities that we take for granted, and millions of people outside of this fancy campus will never get to see even for a second of their day. They work far harder than any one of you in this room will ever work in your life, and a lot of them are far smarter than you will ever believe them to be. But you believe that you deserve this. And that is when you begin to play the national sport of this country. What is the national sport of this country? Sorry? It's not gossip. Well, gossip is a really strong contender. मैम के तो दिल से निकला है ये आवाज. Very close. Complaining. We love complaining. Each one of you here is an Olympian in complaining, whether you want to believe it or not. You close your eyes, and if I were to just make you jot down the last 24 hours and the things that you complained about, you will be embarrassed. Because you will be complaining about virtually everything. Whether it's, of course, the Delhi air, to the traffic, to the internet connection, to the seats not being comfortable, to the food not being good, to the cricket team not playing well, to the Trump policies, to something else. It is ridiculous. Kis level pe chala gaya. But we love to pinpoint that when our kids are doing the same thing. When they are like, Mom, Papa, 3.5 minutes ho chuke hain, Blinkit abhi tak nahi aaya. We love to go on this absolute diametrical story which is like, तुम्हें कोई idea ही नहीं है कि हम अपने ज़माने में क्या-क्या झेलते थे. हम नदियाँ पार कर स्कूल जाते थे. स्कूल पहुँचते थे, शर्ट फटी होती थी, स्लेट और चौक से कर रहे हैं, 2 दूनी 4, 2 तिया 6. मक्खियाँ हैं हमारे चेहरे पे, हमें पसीने का स्वाद दिख रहा है. फिर हम वापस जाते थे, कहीं से कुछ पैसे गिर गए, वो चुरा के मिठाइयाँ खा ली हमने. तुम एसी के स्कूल में हो, तुम एसी में बस में ट्रैवल करते हो, तुम्हें पता भी नहीं पसीने का स्वाद क्या है. And the kids are like, what trip are you on?
I just
It's not my fault that you are poor. But what you don't realize is that you're doing the exact same thing. It's just that nobody is there, or if somebody is there, you're also ignoring them. That is pointing out the same blame in you. The second thing of an entrepreneurial mindset, and you will witness this in the most successful people, whatever your definition of success is, you will never, ever find them complaining. They will not complain. They will either fix it or not talk about it. But there is not even an iota of their energy that is dispensed on trying to make them feel, मैंने अपना काम कर दिया है, अब कोई और अगर अपना काम कर दे तो मेरी जिंदगी बेहतर बन जाएगी. That's never how they are thinking. They are always like, I have to be responsible for my life, and if my life is not good, I'll just have to keep working hard. Which brings me to the third and last thing. Everything around us, whether we like it or not, certainly for our kids, is now all about comfort. Everything is about comfort. You think about it. You need a book, click. You need clothes, click. You need the latest songs, click. You need cabs, click. Food, click. आजकल तो love, swipe right. Speed of thought. हमें लड़की approach करने में 25 साल लग गए. They are just swiping right. So it tricks all of us, by the way, to believe that the goal of life is to make life more and more comfortable. And you know what? Physical comfort, I'm with you. You want to travel in a safe car, have a nice happy house, travel well, when you're going outside on a vacation, eat good food, all of that, absolutely aspirational. But there's a very fine line between physical comfort moving to intellectual comfort. And intellectual comfort is when you don't. Sorry? Oh yeah, absolutely. Right? I'll just outsource my thinking. I don't even want to write my own email or draft whatever it is. So intellectual comfort is simply about, if it's hard to do, I'll not do it. Because I don't need to do it. It will be done by something or someone else. And that is where you start collapsing. Because the hardest things, and you all know this, are the ones that you actually need to do to get your mind constantly running. I often quote this example, and let's do it with you because I rarely do it with an audience this senior and experienced. Don't lie to yourself. You can lie to me all you want, not to yourself. How many of you here are scared of public speaking? Show of hands. How many of you here are scared of public speaking? Show of hands. Okay, so it's about 20%. All the remaining 80% are not scared of public speaking. So if I were to ask you to come here on stage and just give you a topic, you'll be all cool?
No.
Awesome. That's because maybe of your profession. I guarantee you that. Because that's your job. Right? If you're facing kids of today, you of course are public speaker. So when I ask this question with kids, naturally the answer is almost 80 to 90% are super scared of public speaking. So I quote them the survey result. And I don't know if you are aware of the survey result or not. It's US की बात है, so it's not an Indian survey. People were asked, what's the thing that you're most scared of in life? आपको किस चीज से जिंदगी में सबसे ज़्यादा डर लगता है? Number 2 पे थी मौत. Number 2 was death. Number 2. And number 1 was public speaking. Number 1 was public speaking. People were like, मेरा गला काट दो पर मुझे स्टेज पर रखो. It's so bizarre that people are scared of public speaking. I'm sure all of you at some point in time were as well, the ones who didn't raise their hands. And here are a few myths, right? One myth is people think that public speakers are born. कि वो माँ के पेट से निकल के, hello nurse! What's up? Welcome to my TED talk. Everybody has their first day. Everybody is scared when they get on stage. There are a lot of misconceptions in the youth particularly is, oh, I don't know the topic, I don't know how to memorize it, I don't know how to be prepared for it. I'm like, take your time. I'll give you a topic, come back after a month. Remember all you want. Research all you want. I don't care. Oh no, but my English is not good. I said, speaking whatever language you want. I don't care. I need you to feel you as a communicator. It could be Hindi, could be your mother tongue, could be English, could be any other language. So it's clearly not these reasons. The biggest reason why people are scared of public speaking is because of all of you. You're the ones who make public speaking scary. Because if I were to come on stage for the first time, my legs will be shivering, my hands will be trembling, my heartbeat will be racing, I'll be sweating, and I'll start speaking, and I'll make a mistake. And when I make a mistake, all of you, my so-called colleagues, will become vultures. If not directly, then certainly because you will start judging to some extent, and it's just a human reaction. And I don't want to live with that judgment because I don't want to make a fool of myself. I don't want to come across as a loser here when I know I can easily sit on my chair and feel like a winner. But the truth is, when you are trembling and your heart beats racing, you're sweating, and you start speaking, and you make a mistake, the world will laugh at you, 100%. But in that moment, there is only and only one winner in the room, and that is you. It's not everybody else. They are the losers. You're the only one winning because you had that courage to face your fears and not be easy on that seat judging somebody else. And that is what is being intellectually uncomfortable. We live in a world that is insanely comfortable that we don't remember how easily we travel into the intellectual comfort well as well. So I would challenge you, despite the authority, position and responsibility you have, to constantly keep intellectually challenging yourself as well. How many of you here have used AI in any shape and form in the last 24 hours? Show of hands. What are the others doing? And I'm not saying that you will lose your job, because by the time I finish that sentence, you most likely will. What I'm saying is, you can't be living in whatever space you are thinking that I don't need to be using AI every single day of my life because my job is very different. No. I'm not asking you to create a curriculum through it. I'm not asking you to outsource your thinking, as Nipun mentioned, to AI, but I'm certainly asking you to use AI to become more productive, to elevate the quality of your work in a way that no human can help you. For $20 a month, 1,900 rupees, I have access to the brightest possible human capacity delivered by a machine. It is ridiculous how far I can go with just a 1,900 rupee subscription. And if any one of you is running away from it, not embracing it, नहीं हमारा टाइम तो चला गया, अब तो कितने ही साल बचे हैं, अब तो रिटायरमेंट आ ही चुकी है, अब तो हो गया, क्या ही हो जाएगा, नौकरी थोड़ी मिल जाएगी इससे, AI से क्या हो जाएगा, नहीं तो बच्चों को भी दूर रखना है, बच्चों को बोलते हैं मत यूज करो तो मैं कैसे यूज कर लूँगा. All of that are just excuses for you in your mind to not learn something that you feel scared about. Because the truth is, when you do start using AI, you will look like a fool. You will. Because it's the first time you're doing it. But the more and more you do it, you realize it's the only way out now. Last week, I was addressing the absolute top cadre of IRS officers in the income tax department and took a workshop on AI, and it was ridiculous that every single one of them was using it every day. They just understood it so well that I just had to elevate it. But these are 40, 50 years of service individuals. They're commissioners and directors. They're not like the starting cadre IRS 2015 batch. They're like 1975 batch. They're like 1980 batch. And they were on top of their game. And I loved it. Like, ये अगर हमारा देश संभाल रहे हैं तो देश ठीक ही चल रहा है. And I want to have that same feeling, not because you're answerable to me, just be answerable to yourself. Just get so intellectually uncomfortable that nothing that you know you ought to be doing is something that escapes you. Because when you bring these three things together, spending time with people who are nothing like you, so that it opens your horizon of what the world has to offer, in a way that you're not spending your time in just this cocoon, but outside of it, spending time with teenagers, spending time with young people in their 20s, getting to understand how the world works through their eyes, doing it in a manner that you never find yourself complaining, ever, and doing it in a manner that you never get intellectually comfortable, you have, irrespective of your age and experience, the best way to live life without a plan. Because when you see something new now, you're not going to look at it the same way that you did previously. You will look at an opportunity when people look at it as a hurdle. You will look at something which is a segue to your new self, while everyone else will be like, nahin, hum yahi theek hai. And you want to be that person. Because for the first time, I believe in nearly 30 to 40 years, we're going through a shift that allows everyone, irrespective of their age and experience, to become 2 to 3x of what their potential is. How many of you here, not out of force, but willingly, taken and built an entire online curriculum and delivered it? Show of hands. Built and delivered an entire online curriculum. 4 of you in a group of operators, leaders of the finest education institution that this country has to offer. If you think that online is not the way to be, and if you think you can't be spearheading it because that's the job of the 20-year-old teacher, you are not an entrepreneur. You're still, and take disrespect when I say it, an employee. And you don't want to be an employee. You don't want to be an employee. You want to be an entrepreneur in your mind. It doesn't matter whether you have a job or not. Satya Nadella, Shantanu Narayan, Sheryl Sandberg, all of these are not employees. They didn't start those companies, but they are doing work that no other employee could have done because they behave and operate like an entrepreneur. And that's what sets them apart. And the ones who will rise the rank, whether here or anywhere else in the world, will be the ones who will think like an entrepreneur, behave like one, because they don't get easy and comfortable in their own space. They extend themselves in a way that defies gravity. I'll stop here because I do have a desire to have conversations with you on a Q&A, and I think I'm good on time. But thank you for being so patient, and thank you for...
It is my distinct privilege, sir. You once said in your TED Talk that we are given two worlds, the one that we are born into and the world that we make of what we are born into. And your address today has reflected that, and you have truly lived by it and shared it with the world. Can we have some questions from the audience, sir?
Please, anyone. Yeah. We have a bunch of them. We start with that? Yeah.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Hi.
It is really great to see you in person, sir.
Thank you
I've
so
been
much.
following you since many years.
Thank you so much.
And
What's your name?
Saran.
Yes, sir.
I took one of your courses also, take charge of your time.
Yes, that is the best selling course. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you. And it helped me a great deal, sir.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Sir, my question is, I'm from Moradabad. I own GD Goenka Moradabad. And my question is, you said that AI is a new big thing, and each and every one of us should mold ourselves towards this path, this new path. But using AI made me realize one thing, that things which I was good at, things which I was practicing every day, like mailing, like creating letters. Once I started using AI, that ability of mine to do it on regular basis with that efficiency minimized, because I tend to rely too much on AI, that general language which used to come to me very naturally, that had stopped coming to me that naturally after that.
Absolutely.
So isn't that going to pose a problem for us in the future?
100%. And the problem is... Thank you so much for the question, Sarah. The problem is the same problem that 100 years back, everybody used to make their own clothes. Everybody made their own clothes. And they were really good at it. खुद की स्वेटर बन रही है, खुद की जीनें बन रही हैं, खुद की टी-शर्ट बन रही हैं. And at some point in time, somebody started to do it much faster, better, cheaper. And we're like, you know what? Maybe my time was not best utilized to make my clothing item. I could have done something about it. 50 years back, everybody used to cook at their house. Today, maybe you as well are ordering from Zomato or Swiggy. You can like, you know what? Domino's does make better pizza than I can make at my house. So I don't have to make my pizza at my own house. I can order it in. Now, this is a natural extension. The question is, what are you willing to outsource, and are you okay with that? That is your choice, Sandra. Because it is your choice what you see on Instagram and what you don't. Instagram will have people doing all Naach Gana and being all vulgar or being all porn. And Instagram also has all motivation and all poetry and all sports and all literature on one platform. What you tell the algorithm is what the algorithm will feed you. What you tell the AI is what the AI will feed you back. AI doesn't think for you. It is your slave. It is your servant. You are the master. So अगर आप बोलेंगे AI draft an email to be sent to GD Goenka management saying that hey XYZ, it'll do that. But then you will sound like everybody else who's given the same command. But if you were to feed what will be your written email and then ask it to give feedback as an email coach, it will elevate your work and will actually become your tutor and your guide. That's the simple difference. Technology हमेशा किसी भी रूप में यूज करी जा सकती है. कौन सा रूप चुनना है वो आपका choice हमेशा रहेगा. And that will be how AI will also shape up. I personally, just to give you an example of email writing, the hardest things that I used to always feel is, as an organization or as even an individual, I love building teams and I love hiring. I think I'm one of the best recruiters that this country has because of the process that we follow. And I'm being modest here, but I think I should. So I take a lot of effort to send what I call the rejection email if a candidate doesn't make it. And it's a very important part to me. Because they shouldn't feel like shit and they should be like, so here's what I will do. I will draft the rejection email. I will like, hey, Nipun, he ko and I'll feed it to AI. And I'll be like, hey ChatGPT, if Nipun gets this email, what are the 5 emotions that he will feel when he reads it? I'm not asking you to improve the email. Huh? ChatGPT will give me the 5 emotions they'll feel. If one of those emotions are a feeling of unworthiness, a feeling of not being good enough, a feeling of not being adequate, I'll be like, I have to change it. I'm okay, him feeling dejected, it's natural. Him feeling sad, natural. Him feeling disappointed, natural. लेकिन उसको ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए कि यार मैं तो ज़िंदगी में कुछ कर ही नहीं पाऊँगा. So I will fix it, throw it back into AI, and then it will tell me, and then I will learn from that process कि हाँ मेरी गलतियों की वजह से मैंने उससे फील करवाया कि वो वर्दी नहीं है, लेकिन अब एक चेंज प्रोसेस से वो हट चुका है. That is how I'm using AI. It is very intensive, but the more you use it, you become so good at it because we are humans at the end of it. हमें नहीं बनाया ये system, उसका खुद इजाद नहीं हुआ है. So you will learn a lot faster by pattern, but the choice is how much you want to invest in that. Yeah? Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Can we have? I'll come to you next, ma'am. Do we have a mic here, please? I can. Get easy.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Jessie Roy. So nice to hear you. When you were speaking, I could get that the importance of that stress and vulnerability. And then as an educational institution, we are the managers of the schools and all. So we have children and the staff, teachers. So how can we create an environment where they will not have the fear to fail?
That's a beautiful question. I equate the role of an educator to that of a parent because who you're trying to teach are kids, and what I know of kids, we have kids 14 and 8, so it's a very early journey. I wouldn't claim to be an expert. Is that kids never learn by being told what to do. They learn by watching and observing. They're very smart. It's the same way that they figured their life out when they were a toddler, and it's the same way that they continue to. So as an educator, as the leader, if they don't find consistency in you towards the value that you wish them to have, it just doesn't matter how many times you talk about the value. Which means you will have to start, and I'm not saying that you don't, but now this is a broader question. You will have to start by coming in here and be like, hey, I just felt like talking about failure today, and let me start with my failures, and it's a list of them. It's not just one. Because it's very fancy to ask, hey, what's the biggest failure you had in your life, Ankur? I'm successful and one failure, how he came out of it, salute. Doesn't matter. In 2017, I was reading about this professor, a New York University professor. His name is Johannes Haashofer, if I get his name right. He wrote the failure resume, which is fascinating. He was like, yeah, a resume is usually, this is what I've done, these are all the positions I had, all the promotions that I did, all the elocution contests I won in grade 2, holding my hands, everything. So it's all win, 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 win. Of course, behind these wins are a string of failures that may have led to that win in the first place. So he wrote all the things that he had failed at, academically, professionally, personally, and so on. And I loved that idea. So I made a failure resume of mine. You can actually go on Google and just search for Ankur Warikoo failure resume. I update it every 5 years because itne failure aate rehte, I had to update it. And I thought nobody in this country would even appreciate that document. But what happened just changed the way that I thought of vulnerability, because the number of messages I received saying, oh my God, when we looked at somebody like you, we felt you would be somebody who's never failed, and now we see a string of these failures, and we just feel that we have hope for our lives as well. And that was my moment of saying, if my only job in the world would be to constantly remind people it's okay to fail, because I have failed, but here is how I came out of it, so can you, that'll be my job done. And that's what you will have to do as well. It's not like, please don't fear failure. Sounds so nice, na? But if you start talking about it from your own experience and get your teachers as well, and get your class teachers as well, and imagine the kids, 5th and 6th grade or 7th and 8th grade, they look at their teacher and they believe that, oh my God, she is flawless, like the way we looked at our parents, only to realize at 20 that, no, they are humans first, and they're not flawless. And that almost broke us, because for them, like, we just felt that they can't ever make a mistake. And now we just see they're full of mistakes. Like, oh shit, what happened? Imagine if that journey had started a long time back when the parents were like, hey, I effed up. And I have to say sorry. And I know it's hard for me, because I'm elder to you, senior, more experienced, blah, 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 blah. But I want you to feel comfortable saying sorry tomorrow as well when you make a mistake. And this is my way of teaching you, because if I can do it, so can you. That's what you have to do. Yeah? Come. Thank you. Ma'am, you are a question. Come to you next.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, my compliments to you. Such a wonderful inspirational story. Your personal example was, it was more insightful and
Thank
it
you.
was so appreciated.
Thank you
so
so
much for sharing. So actually,
Your name, please, first.
I'm Dr. Prerna Mitra.
Yes.
I'm principal of GD Goenka Public School, Lucknow. I'm from Lucknow. And sir, regarding, I had framed a question wherein the question was basically what you shared, the 3 points about you have to try to sit with a person whom you think you will not be having the same mindset and it doesn't click. And second thing was entitlement, and third thing was intellectual comfort. That was on the personal basis. But the question is, if a school wish to set up its own personal brand, and in a community, then what are the 3 things the school has to set right? I framed the question, get right. But now the school is already striving for creating their own brands. But how to set it right?
Yes. It's a great question. So, a lot of institutions in general ask me this question, how do we create a personal brand? Please have a seat, ma'am. How do we create a personal brand out of an institution or a company or an organization as against personally? And I say you first have to recognize what is it that everybody else is doing. Because you can't be doing the same thing and expecting a different result. The only way to win as a personal brand is to actually do what is true to you and very authentic to you. And don't assume it is something which everybody else is aware of. That's the biggest mistake people make. I'll give you a simple example, let's say at the personal brand level and then extend it. It's possible that if you were to create a profile, say on LinkedIn tomorrow, and I'll encourage you that, go and create a public brand on LinkedIn, speak about your work at GD Goenka, Lucknow, speak about the kind of work you're doing, the kids you have. You'll be like, क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है? सब तो यही बोलते रहते हैं. मैं ऐसा नया क्या बोल लूँगी? मैं ऐसा क्या इतना यूनिक बोल लूँगी जो किसी को पता नहीं है? Why? Because you're surrounded by the same people. So everybody's talking in the same language. But you're not speaking to them. You're speaking to a world which is in millions and has no idea of who you are, how is the school different, how are the kids shaping up differently, what are the principles that you are following, that very few even get to know or experience in their lifetime. So the biggest trap is to get out of your head that this is known. It isn't known. If it's your school as well, I would love for you to create content where you are showing how classes are being run, you're showing the rituals of the school that are very your rituals. It needn't be even a GD Goenka ritual. It could be a GD Goenka Lucknow ritual. It could be something that's so true to how you operate that you would also in some way impress somebody, but you don't know who and you don't know why. You're just shipping out content. But you're doing it in a manner that you never second guess yourself, ये तो सबको पता ही होगा. इसमें कुछ नया नहीं. Don't do that. Because all of you know this. So many times when you are, let's say, watching Shark Tank, and you be like, ये idea तो 5 साल पहले मेरे पास भी था. ये फंडिंग ले गई 20 करोड़ की. The truth is, वो आपके दिमाग में था और उसने उस बारे में कुछ किया. That's the only difference. It's not even about intellect. It's not even about skills. It's not even about agency. It's simply the difference between action and inaction. So, action is the shortest way to win, even for personal branding. So I would 2026 आने वाला है, 1 जनवरी है, फिटनेस को बोल तो सब रेजोल्यूशन करेंगे, ये भी कर लीजिएगा प्लीज. I would love for every school out here to have a thriving Instagram page where all that you do is not seek admissions. No, don't think conversion. Don't think selling. Don't try to impress a patient and convince them to walk into school. No. Simply be you. Just be you. It's almost as if there is a 24/7 camera on you and you are just relaying to the world what's happening. Speak to kids, let them become the interviewers, let them do the vox pops, let them come up with everything. They will feel so thrilled about it. You don't have to invest any energy, even if it's broken. कोई टूटी फूटी इंग्लिश में बोल रहा है, किसी का कोई गलती हो गई, किसी ने कोई वर्ड मिसप्रोनाउंस कर दिया, वो सब डालिए. Because that is who you are. You're not the perfect school जहाँ कहीं कोई भी गलती नहीं करता है और कोई भी हारता नहीं है और कोई भी टाई इधर नहीं होती है और बेल्ट इधर नहीं होती है और फीते हमेशा बंद होते हैं. नहीं, बच्चे हैं ये. तो कोई गिर रहा है, कोई लड़क रहा है, कोई गाली भी दे रहा है, कोई इधर उधर कुछ भी कर रहा है. You put there because that's how you show this is a living, thriving community where kids are kids and they love being kids. I'm open for consultation. I'll take you on. Okay. Yes, you had a question, and then we'll come back to you. Can you give?
Since you asked.
Your name, please, first.
Soumyak Pathak.
Yes, sir.
So since you asked that, how many of you are creating an online course to sell? So I've started something. I wanted to be one of the people to raise my hands. Unfortunately, I have not completed, so I did not.
Sure.
I already started to create an online module. Since you've already done it, please tell me, give me advice, tip on how the content should be aligned, how the pre-sales should be done, how the post-sales should be done. It's something that is very relevant to schools. So if you could give some form of guidance on that, it will be lovely. And how to get the others also started on this.
See, here's what I can do, and this will be Nipun through your permission. We actually on WebVeda have a full-fledged, I think, 13-hour course on how to build an online teaching business. It's very elaborate. It's incredible. I'm happy to give it to all of you. And absolutely free of cost, because why would I charge? But it will be unfair if I were to just give you some random things without knowing the entire context. So what I would love is for you to actually go through that course. Trust me, I have so many of our students. The course has been taken by nearly about, I think, 9,000 people now. I didn't know there were so many people who wanted to do an online course or build an online business. And of those, nearly 20 to 25% last we checked have launched their courses business, and they're shocked at how the performance has been and how the reception has been. क्योंकि दुनिया 2020 के बाद बदल गई. बच्चों को तो समझ में आ गया कि क्लास में हम जितना सीख रहे हैं वो हम ऑनलाइन भी सीख सकते हैं. सीखने वालों की कमी दुनिया में बिल्कुल नहीं है, सिखाने वालों की कमी है. I can tell you this with conviction. अगर आप क्वालिटी कंटेंट बनाएंगे ना, इस देश में लाइनें लग जाएंगी. लेकिन हम सबको लगता है कि हम ऐसा क्या ही सिखा लेंगे जो बाकी लोग नहीं सिखा रहे हैं. पहले किसने आपने टाइम में किसने किया टाइम मैनेजमेंट का कोर्स? सॉरी, किसने बताया? हाँ, यस, सारंग. सॉरी. हमारा टाइम मैनेजमेंट से बेसिक वाहियात कोर्स हो ही नहीं सकता है. टाइम मैनेजमेंट में क्या ही सिखा दूंगा मैं आपको? 90 मिनट का कोर्स है वो. 90 मिनट का कोर्स है जिसमें से 1 घंटा मैं बकर करता हूँ और आधा घंटा मैं एक एक्सरसाइज देता हूँ. वो कोर्स 3 लाख लोग ले चुके हैं. मैं अक्सर ये बोलता हूँ कि शायद ही कोई इंसान अपने 20s में इस देश में होगा जिसने उस टाइम मैनेजमेंट का या तो ऐड देख के अपना दिमाग नहीं फाड़ा होगा या टेलीग्राम और व्हाट्सएप पे वो कोर्स उनको फ्री में नहीं मिला होगा. It is the most pirated course in this country. It is the most bought course for this, and that course alone, and I'm sorry I'm being again immodest, that course alone has generated nearly 25 crores of revenue. Just that one course. It's a 399 rupee course. It's a 399 rupee course. But the reason why that worked is because everybody intellectually were like, time management का course बनाने से कुछ नहीं होगा. इतने सारे YouTube वीडियो, इतने सारा बढ़िया कंटेंट, क्या बनाएंगे हम ऐसा? और मैंने कुछ नया नहीं किया है. It is simply me saying, ये है उसूल, प्रिंसिपल, ये है जैसे मैं अपना दिन बिताता हूँ, ये है एक्सरसाइज. बच्चों शुरू हो जाओ. जिसको करना है वो करेगा, जिसको नहीं करना है वो ना करे. मेरा काम आपको कुएं तक पहुंचाना है, आपको जबरदस्ती पानी नहीं पिलवाना है. कुआं कहाँ है और पानी वहां एकदम साफ सुथरा है, मेरी जिम्मेदारी. But I am not going to force you to become the person that I believe you should become. Until you don't want to, you will never become that person. My job as a teacher is simply to show you the way, not to bear responsibility of your success. That's what I would love for you as well. And if there is a way that I can enroll all of you to that course, I'm happy to do that. Please go through it, because I know that less than 5% of you will go through it. Please. You had a question, ma'am. And I will wind up at exactly this question, because I do realize it's for yes, ma'am.
I'm the Green Principal of Goenka University, and it's been amazing because you have actually taken us to your timeline and everything was cogent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So my question is, what most of the mistakes do schools do while we try to build digital presence, and how can you avoid it? Although you touched few of them,
Yeah.
but when you're trying to build it up, there's something I would like to know, the mistakes which can be avoided.
So what's the mistake that schools make when they're trying to build up a digital presence? It's the same mistake that I pointed out. They're trying to convince people to take an admission. Wrong. Please don't do that. Nobody here wakes up wanting to see an ad. कोई भी नहीं है बोलता है यार जिंदगी में ना ad नहीं देखे हैं, आज अगर ad दिख जाए मजा आ जाए. Nobody's that. But we all know the story. We all know the story. In fact, we are willing to watch a 5-minute ad if that connects. And that is what I love about storytelling, which is what all of you need to adapt and bring into your digital presence. It is not, please ये नंबर पे कॉल करके एक एडमिशन विजिट पे आ जाइए, प्लीज ये नंबर कॉल करके लीड जनरेट करिए, प्लीज इस फॉर्म को भर दीजिए. वो थक चुके हैं फॉर्म भर के, उनको एक और फॉर्म नहीं बनता. It is a very different way of approaching it, which could be building a community, it could be storytelling. I remember I was there, this is just one example, but in a completely different domain, a real estate developer, and I instantly refuse any real estate conversations. Do you know कि sorry if anybody बोला industry fraud है, तो like real estate वालों के साथ नहीं करना है, whatever the reason may be, so on. But there was a developer and he's like, we're running a project in Pune, and here's what we do every month. We bring very different people from across the country, and we have an open house for people to come in and witness that event. Completely free, completely free. Of course, it's a very expensive affair. But I love the fact, the only subtle thing is, the event happens on the property site that they are wishing to sell. But at no point in the at least 3 hours that I was there did the MD, chairman or anyone even come up once on stage and be like, please एक हमारा स्टूडियो बना हुआ है, डिजाइनर फ्लैट, बिल्डर फ्लैट बने हुए हैं, आके देख लीजिए. कुछ नहीं. बहुत अच्छे अच्छे लोग आए, बहुत अच्छी अच्छी बातें हुई, कोई ब्रांडिंग नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, and people enjoyed. Now imagine anybody who's coming in, there were about 400-450 people now, and it's far away in some obscure part of Pune because that's where they had to land or whatever. तो 450 लोगों ने मेहनत करके वहाँ अपने आप को पेश भी किया. But what is the likelihood that 450 people will sit through a 4-hour program and be like, बड़ा ही मजा आया है, चलो घर चलते हैं. Because someone will question, यार ये किसने किया है? ये घर यहाँ कौन से हैं? ये लोग, ये जमीन क्या है? कुछ तो होगी ना जिज्ञासा. And at that point of time, you're ready. You're just ready. You're not forcing them. You're not converting them. You're not pushing them. You're simply waiting for them to convert themselves and then walk in. Now I do recognize it's very easy for me to say this because you are in a competitive industry, and I wish that education wasn't the most competitive industry of this country, but it's turned out to be. Which means that your authenticity matters even more today than anything else. Because you can't be doing the same things कि देखिए हमारा बढ़िया सी बिल्डिंग, देखिए हमारा ये, माँ बाप के पास पैसा बहुत है. पर मैं जब हर क्वार्टर अपने बच्चों की स्कूल की फीस भरता हूँ, मैं 15,000 रुपए में पढ़ा था. मतलब क्या कर रहे हैं आप? और मैं पूछता हूँ विदुर हमारा बड़ा लड़का है, विदुर आपको पता है आपकी स्कूल की फीस कितनी है क्वार्टर की? Surprisingly, he knew the number. And I'm like, आपको लगता है कि ये worth it है? And he was like, मुझे लगता है बहुत worth it है. I'm like, shit. फिर मैंने उस्मा अपनी 8 साल की उससे पूछा, आपको लगता है worth it है? उसको समझ नहीं आया. worth it का मतलब आपको लगता है कि इतने पैसे में आप इतने पैसे में कुछ भी कर सकते हो, कहीं जा सकते हो. उसे भी लगा कि worth it है. फिर मैंने शायद worth it होगा ही, हम भी पागल होंगे. But it is so insane that you are nearly paying what I didn't pay for 25 years of my life in 1 year. I didn't even pay 1/5 of that amount in 25 years of my education that I pay 1 year as school kids. But they find it worth it. I am seeing them shape into very different people. And I know that if the school had to position themselves as the school to be, they would do it very differently. And I think they have to a great extent. I wouldn't name the school because that's not important. But the point is, please make your stories heard. And the stories will be in corners you will not be looking for. That's what parents need to do. Thank you. Okay, I'll stop.
It is a privilege, sir, to extend our heartfelt appreciation. Thank you for sharing such hard-earned life lessons with such magnanimity and candor. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a big round of applause.